What is up, guys? Illinois Outdoorsman, and today we're going to cover my top 5 cold water bass fishing baits. Stay tuned. Alright, you guys, so you have obviously made it more than 15 seconds into the video, so you're remotely interested in this. Today we're going to cover my top 5 cold water winter baits, winter bass fishing baits, cold water fishing baits, whatever you want to call it. They are pretty basic, and some of them you're going to use year round anyway. It's just a matter of depth and retrieve, and we're going to go over how I rig them, what I rig them on as far as line weight, if I'm using a weight with them or if they're weightless, things like that. Some of these are just representations. Obviously it's a little bit bigger so you can see more detail in it. What I'm going to kind of fish these around, how I'm going to pick this apart and pick apart structure, and what's going to define what bait I use, when and where. Obviously, dead of winter, it's cold, fishing slows way down, those fish go way deep to where that water temperature is going to stay a lot more constant. Up here, kind of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, kind of that band right there. In the winter, if it's not iced over, your surface temperature is going to stick around that 33, 34 degree mark. But if you get down to the bottom, you're going to be sitting right about that 40 degree mark. So obviously you got an 8 to 10 degree difference. Those fish are going to go down to the bottom. So, all right, you guys, as you can see, obviously I'm behind the camera now, and you guys are on a mountain in front of me. So bear with me on this. This is new to me, but so you guys can see my top 5 are right here. We have my first go-to, which is a year-round, is the good old Senko. This one is a Yum Dinger in green pumpkin with pearl flake in it. It's kind of got that red flake in it. Number 2 is going to be the good old Ned rig. This one is in the copper truce. This is a TRD. My number 3 is a jig. This obviously is not an 1/8 ounce. This is a 1/4 ounce jig, but it's the smallest jig I have. So a lot of the times I will go to 1/4 ounce, but once in a while I do use an 1/8 ounce. I just can't find my 1/8 ounce. Number 4 is a medium to deep diving crankbait. Up here we do have a couple of Cory lakes that are fairly deep. I know Clinton Lake, my home lake's got a couple deep spots in it, but I can still pretty much drag the bottom with this bad boy. But like I said, I picked a couple bigger ones so you guys can see detail in them. And then number 5 would be a suspending jerkbait. This one is in the, still has a tag on it. I think it's like a gold shiner color with a chartreuse belly on it. It's a Cutter 110 suspending. So we will move these and this off to the side. We're going to start with the tried and true Yum Dinger or the Senko. So obviously 5-inch, nothing special about it. Well, this one's got a slot in it for your hook to go into. But I'm going to run this on 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon just because I do want it to sink. If you run this on mono, your sink rate on this with a number 4/0, yeah, we'll go with a 4/0 hook, is going to be right about that 1 second per foot. Once you get it down there, I always get it to the bottom, or if I'm using a depth finder where I can actually see the fish are 3 or 4 feet off the bottom, and I know I'm in 25 feet of water, I'll count to 25 and know, okay, I'm just about there, because as I twitch this, it's going to want to come up. It's going to follow the line a little bit. I just twitch it and let it sit. So as you twitch this weightless, it's just going to kind of twitch and then just start falling back down. And you twitch it again, it's going to go back and forth. You kind of get that slow walking motion with it. When you let it fall, and when it just falls and it sits, that's when that strike's going to happen, because your fish is going to see it on the twitch and follow it down on the fall. It's going to see it just sit there. Know it's something that's alive, something that's edible. It's going to come and sit there. So let it sit for 4 or 5 seconds before you twitch it again. Where I'm going to fish this at, where I've had the best luck in the winter, is spillways, a rock, real hard cover, not vegetation mats or anything else. In the summer, spring and summer, this is great around vegetation. But in the winter, I found I have better luck with it. Rocks, riprap, sunken trees, stuff like that. A harder structure, not something that's going to move with the water. So yeah, I mean, everybody knows how to fish a Senko, or you should. If not, tie one on and it will be the best thing you ever do. It is tried and true, go-to. Put that one back. That one is a Yum Dinger, like I said. This one, number 2, the Ned Rig. I hope that's in camera. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're good. Ned Rig, this one. Right now I have a, as the package states, it's kind of goofy, a 1/15 ounce. Whatever that means. 1/15 ounce jig head. And I also have a 1/10 ounce. So they are quite specific on the weight of the jig heads for these. This is a Z-Man TRD in the Coppertruce color. What I'm going to do with this is pretty much the same thing as the Senko, except this has weight, and obviously the smaller profile. This is only 2 3/4 inches long. You're going to get it down there. This is going to stand up, whereas the Senko is going to want to fall this way. This one's going to stand up. That's not a good representation, but it's good. What I'm going to do with this is let it get all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to twitch it, but I'm going to maintain that contact bottom. So you're going to want to use really pretty light line on this in the winter, 6 to 8 pound floor or something where you can really have that sensitivity and be able to feel the bottom, but still have a little bit of oomph to set that hook, because it is a fairly small hook in there. I'm going to fish this pretty much the same way I do the Senko, except I'm going to throw this around weeds as well, weed beds that have that deep drop off on the one side. I'm going to fish this on that drop off side. So if I've got a flat and then a weed bed, and then right on the back side of that weed bed I've got a drop, this is where I'm going to fish that at, right along that weed edge on that drop, and just slow work it, maintain bottom contact, and just twitch it so you get just that little bit of motion out of this tail. And it does not take much to get that tail to move around. But like I said, it's pretty much the same way you're going to fish it as the Senko, but obviously you have a weight on this. This one, the Ned Rig, I will fish on spinning tackle. The Senko, I will fish on a casting rod. For some reason, I don't like using the Senko on a spinning rod, but I will do the Ned Rig on a spinning rod. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward with this. Just maintain your bottom contact so you can just keep it right there. It's going to force you to move nice and slow because you're going to focus on maintaining bottom contact. You're going to feel it bump those rocks and bump along and maintain that contact. So when a fish goes and actually gets a hold of it and you twitch it forward and it doesn't go, you can set the hook because that fish is still going to hold on to it. I mean, it's small, you guys. But we'll go on to number 3, which I have as the jig. Like I said before, this is obviously not an 1/8 ounce jig. I think this is a 1/4, maybe 3/16 ounce. But right now I have a spinnerbait trailer on here, which is great for the winter time. I was going to take it off, but it works great because it's got all these little ribs in here, and you can just trim them back. So I could shorten this way up and have just these 2 fingers sticking out of the skirt way back here. You want to make this thing as compact as possible, so those spinnerbait trailers actually make great jig trailers for the winter as well, because you get that little bit of motion, but it's nothing big, bulky. It's just that small little morsel. It's not going to run away too quick. 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon on the bottom, obviously. You can use a swim jig. It gets to be hard to get it to maintain one level without wanting to sink, because you're going to have to retrieve it slow. But short little hops, all you're doing is 1-2 hops, or a slow drag, even almost like a Carolina rig, which a Carolina rig would actually be pretty good in this situation. Everybody thinks of it as a summer rig for that deep summer when everything's blazing hot and the fish bite really quits. Works great in the winter as well, but it's not one I normally go to. But just a slow drag, and this one's kind of got a little bit of a flat spot on the bottom of his head, so it's going to ride up. So you'll get this trailer to float up here. Gives it that little bit of movement, that little bit of body. I can't remember if I said what line, but we're using 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon on this. But you want to keep this small, compact. So as you can see, we know the TRD is 2 3/4 inches, and overall this thing is maybe 2 inches with the trailer we're looking for. So if we trim this trailer way back, we can keep it about the size of this Ned Rig. but have that just a little bit of different effect because you have the skirt on here. So right now we're kind of imitating more bottom prey stuff that's going to be slow moving, especially as winter goes along. So those are the two soft plastics, one kind of finesse. We'll call it a bottom bait, I guess. I mean, it is a bottom bait, but we'll call it a plastic as well. So 3 plastics, 2 hard baits, even though this one doesn't qualify as a plastic bait. Yeah. So these 3 right here, the jig, the Senko, and the Ned rig, you're going to all kind of fish the same. They're just 3 different presentations, but they all serve a different purpose. Weightless, this is going to get down pretty quick. This one's going to kind of slowly fall as it goes, and you get 3 completely different actions out of them. We'll move those up there. Next, we're going to number 4 is the crankbait. This big bad boy, this is a Jenko. I think this is like a 30 plus or something like that. It's obviously, you can see the bill is huge on it. But with something like this, it's deep. It's got this big wide bill. You're going to get a nice wide wobble out of it to where you can slow it way down and still hold the hooks and still get that rattle to go and get the hook out of my hand. I'm going to run this the same way I kind of do the Ned rig, along weed edges at those drop-offs, because I can slow it way down. But it's deep enough to where you can bump the bottom. So if you find using your sonar or your depth finder, and you find a rock hump out here that obviously nobody knows about because there's nobody out there fishing it, or they're all inside where it's warm and they're not crazy like the rest of us, you can get this all the way down to the bottom and bump those rocks on the bottom, so you kind of have that little bit of give to change your depth on it, or you can just change your crankbait, use the same color, just a different depth. Super slow retrieve, super slow. I do have a rattling trap that I was going to pull out, but rattling trap's more a summer bait that has 2 tie points on it. One of them creates a real tight wobble, and the other one lets it get that real wide slow wobble, which in this case that might work. Even though it's a rattling trap, it probably wouldn't hurt to give it a try. I am going to run this on 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon. I don't want the mono. You can do it mono. It's going to make it float a little bit, so your depth isn't good. You're not going to get near the depth out of it. But that fluoro, because it sinks, is going to help bring that bait down. Yeah, pretty straightforward. You guys, everybody knows how to fish crankbait. It's not rocket science. Cast it out, wind it in. In the winter, just go super slow. So number 5 is probably the hardest to fish out of the top 5 here. The reason it's the hardest to fish is this one is all about rhythm. Rhythm, and you've got to be able to move it. You're going to get it out there. Let me back up. Let me back up here. Slow down, Hot Rod. We're going to fish this one the same as we did this crankbait with 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon. This way you do get that sink. It's going to, if you were to put this on mono and get it suspended, the nose is going to come up. We don't want that, because then when you jerk it, it's going to come up instead of stay down. So you use the fluoro, the weight is going to actually tip this bait forward just a little bit, so when you twitch it again, it stays there. We're going to do 1 to 2 twitches. Get it out there, get it kind of twitched down to 10-15 feet, wherever you want it to be at, wherever your fish are at on your depth finder. Get it there and just stop. Those fish have heard you bring that bait all the way down. They've heard it coming. They know it's there. I promise you, they know it's there. Just let it sit. With a suspending jerk bait, it's going to just sit there. Give it, initially I would give it 30 seconds, and then before I twitch it. After that initial twitch, 10 to 15 seconds, just a twitch, or 1 twitch. And then wait 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, however long you want to wait. You're going to want to, with this, so you're going to want to switch up your cadence, whether it's twitch, let it sit for 3 seconds, then twitch, let it sit for 10. Figure that cadence out, what those fish want. They're going to be finicky. It's cold. So they may want this bait to sit there for 10 seconds and twitch twice, or they may want it to twitch once and sit there for 30 seconds. You don't know. But you got to remember your cadence as you're going along. So when you do get that bite, you do get that bite, you know, okay, this is the cadence I was using. So you can replicate that over and over and turn a cold, crappy weather day into a fish slaying expedition, you guys. So those are my top 5. We have the Senko, the Ned rig, the jig, the crankbait, and the jerkbait, you guys. Out of all these, my favorite is either Ned rig or the jerkbait. Sorry, you guys, little ones are starting to get up from nap time. So yeah, by far my favorite is going to be the Ned rig or the jerkbait. This one, you're going to get your movement out of it. This one is super sensitive, makes you pay attention. And the best tip I can give you guys, actually 2 tips. Alright, so my 2 tips for you guys, or a couple of tips, I don't know how many it's going to be, is actually, if you're using these are they're gonna try your patience, that's for sure. It is very slow, very methodical, you gotta be patient with it. You gotta figure out what those fish want because they are super finicky. It's slow, it's cold, they do not want to move. So you almost have to just drop it right on their nose and just let it sit, let it soak. As far as all these baits go, you guys, color is going to depend on water clarity. What you guys can see around here, stained water, I might have 6 to 8 inches of visibility at best. The Quarry Lake I fished last summer, on a good day with a decent amount of time between rains, I can get almost 15-20 feet of visibility in the water just because it's clear. You just pick colors that are going to match your guys' watercolor, your clarity, and colors you're confident in. Don't go out and go buy some flashy pink worm because you think it's gonna, because that's what everybody else is buying. If you have no confidence in that lure, you're not gonna fish it the way you need to fish it. You're not gonna care, and it's just gonna turn into a crappy day on the water where you don't want to go back out. Pick something that you guys have confidence in. If you're not sure, green pumpkin works for everything, and it doesn't matter if you are fishing stained water in Florida, a Quarry Lake that's nice and clear, or super muddy water. Green pumpkin will catch fish anywhere. That is my one. It doesn't matter where you're fishing at, green pumpkin will catch them all day, every day, anywhere. But you get like a little bit of chartreuse. You do get that little bit of flash, but darker water, you want that darker profile. You're going to create that shadow effect. Clear water, you want more natural colors. So you keep that in mind when you go through your baits on what you're going to use on a fishing trip in cold weather. But use those. Use your guys' own knowledge of your own lakes, your local lakes. Fish, you guys. Get out there. Enjoy fishing in winter because you don't have all the other boat traffic out there. You do not have to worry about other boats because nobody wants to go out when it's cold. They want to sit inside, drink hot chocolate, sit in front of the fireplace and be bums all winter, and then scramble to get their stuff ready in spring. It's January and I've already got my stuff together. So yeah, make sure you guys, if you like this video, you want to see more videos like this where I explain different baits or go through a different bait or a setup, make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know. If you guys aren't already and you're finding this on Facebook or Instagram, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you turn on that little bell so you guys get notified when I do make more videos like this. But until next time, you guys, I'll see you out there.